Have you ever noticed something confusing? She watches every story you post, she likes your photos, she remembers little details about your life. Sometimes it even feels like she's waiting for you to upload something new, but she never texts first, not once. So, what's really going on inside her mind? Is she interested? Is she playing games? Or has she already decided you're not important enough? The answer is far more psychological than most men realize, because attention and initiative are not always the same thing. Today, we're breaking down 5 female psychology reasons why she keeps watching you but never starts the conversation herself. And trust me, the 5th reason is the one most men completely misunderstand. Let's get into it. Imagine this. You wake up, open your phone, you post a simple picture. Within minutes, she's one of the first people to view it. Later that night, you upload another story. She's there again, day after day, week after week, yet your inbox remains completely empty. This situation leaves many men confused because they're looking at one behavior while ignoring the psychology behind it. Watching is passive, texting is active, and those two actions require very different emotional investments. Sometimes they mean attraction, sometimes uncertainty, sometimes something else entirely. Understanding the difference can save you from making assumptions that push someone away. So let's begin with the first reason. Reason number 1, she's curious but still collecting information. Curiosity is one of the strongest psychological forces in human behavior. People naturally observe what they haven't fully figured out. If she's watching you consistently, it doesn't automatically mean she's deeply interested. It often means she's still trying to understand who you really are. She wants more information before investing emotionally. Think about how people watch movie trailers before buying a ticket. Watching doesn't mean they've committed. It simply means they're gathering clues. She notices your hobbies, the people around you, how you react to success, how you handle disappointment, your sense of humor, even your consistency. Every story and every post becomes another piece of the puzzle. This is especially common when a woman values emotional safety. Instead of rushing into conversations, she observes patterns, because patterns reveal character. Words can be impressive. Habits are harder to fake. So while you think she's doing nothing, she may actually be learning a lot. And here's something many men overlook. If you suddenly become desperate for attention, double text repeatedly, or start posting only to get her reaction, those observations may actually answer her questions in the wrong way. Sometimes patience communicates confidence better than constant pursuit. Reason number 2, she wants to see if you'll take initiative. Now, here's where psychology becomes interesting. Many women grow up believing that if a man is genuinely interested, he'll eventually start the conversation. Whether that belief is right or wrong isn't the point. The point is, it influences behavior. Instead of texting first, she watches, she waits, she observes whether you'll create opportunities to connect. This isn't always manipulation. Sometimes it's simply the relationship model she has learned throughout life. Imagine 2 people standing on opposite sides of a bridge. Both want the other person to cross first. Both are waiting, both are interested, neither moves. Eventually, nothing happens. This silent waiting game destroys countless potential relationships. If you've experienced this before, you're definitely not alone. The important lesson isn't to chase endlessly, it's to understand that hesitation can exist on both sides. Confidence doesn't mean forcing conversations. It means being willing to make the first move without making your self-worth depend on the outcome. That difference changes everything. Before we continue, take a second and ask yourself something. Have you ever mistaken silence for rejection? Or have you assumed interest simply because someone kept watching your stories? Write your answer in the comments. It's fascinating how differently people interpret the same behavior. Now, let's move on to the 3rd reason, because this one is much more emotional than most people expect. Reason number 3, she's protecting herself from rejection. Here's something psychology consistently shows. People often avoid actions that make them emotionally vulnerable. Sending the first message sounds simple, but emotionally, it can feel risky. What if he's not interested anymore? What if I look too eager? What if he ignores me? These thoughts aren't exclusive to women. Men experience them too. But depending on personality and past experiences, some people become especially cautious. Maybe she has been rejected before. Maybe someone made her feel foolish for expressing interest. Maybe she's learned to avoid emotional risks whenever possible. So instead of reaching out, she stays in the safest place available. Observation. Watching your stories doesn't require emotional exposure. Sending that first message does. This creates an invisible comfort zone. She stays connected from a distance, close enough to know what's happening, far enough to avoid disappointment. The challenge is that this protective behavior can accidentally create the opposite impression. Instead of appearing careful, she appears uninterested. And that's why understanding psychology matters. Not every silence carries the same meaning. Sometimes silence is fear, wearing the mask of confidence. Reason number 4, she's emotionally interested, but her priorities are somewhere else. Life isn't always as simple as attraction. People can genuinely enjoy someone's presence while focusing on completely different parts of life: work, family, education, personal healing, mental clarity, self-improvement. Imagine trying to build a house during a storm. Even with the best materials, the timing isn't ideal. Relationships can work the same way. She may appreciate you, respect you, even think about you. But emotionally, she's directing most of her energy somewhere else. Watching your updates becomes an easy way to stay connected without adding another responsibility to her life. This explains why someone can seem consistently present online, yet rarely initiate deeper conversations. It's not always about a lack of interest. Sometimes it's about limited emotional bandwidth. One of the biggest mistakes men make here is taking everything personally. Not every delayed conversation is a personal rejection. Sometimes people are simply carrying battles you can't see. Recognizing this doesn't mean waiting forever, it simply means avoiding unnecessary assumptions. Now we're reaching the final reason, and this one surprises almost everyone, because it has less to do with attraction and more to do with certainty. Reason number 5, she's waiting for emotional certainty. Human beings naturally avoid making decisions when outcomes feel uncertain. This applies to careers, friendships, and relationships. Sometimes she watches because she hasn't fully decided how she feels, she enjoys your presence, she finds you interesting, but she's still asking herself deeper questions. Can I trust him? Are we actually compatible? Does this connection feel peaceful or just exciting? Notice something important. Strong relationships aren't built only on attraction. They're built on emotional certainty. And certainty develops over time, not through pressure, not through constant texting, but through consistent behavior. Imagine someone reading the first few chapters of a book. They're interested, but they haven't decided whether it's their favorite story yet. That doesn't mean they'll never finish it. It means they're still evaluating. This is why emotional consistency matters so much. The way you respond during disagreements, the way you treat other people, the way you handle stress, the promises you keep. These moments create certainty. Not clever pickup lines, not perfectly crafted messages. Character leaves a stronger impression than performance. And here's the twist. Sometimes, the moment you stop trying to force certainty, it develops naturally. People often feel safest around those who don't pressure them into quick decisions. Calm confidence creates emotional space, and emotional space allows trust to grow. So, what should you actually do if she's watching but never texting first? First, don't immediately assume she's secretly in love with you. Observation alone doesn't prove deep feelings. Second, don't automatically assume she has no interest either. Human behavior is more complicated than that. Third, pay attention to patterns instead of isolated moments. Does she engage consistently? Does she respond warmly when conversations happen? Does interaction feel balanced over time? Patterns tell better stories than single actions. And finally, protect your own emotional balance. Interest should never become obsession. Healthy connections grow through mutual effort, not endless guessing. The strongest relationships usually aren't built on chasing. They're built on two people gradually choosing each other, without unnecessary pressure, without constant mind games, without pretending to be someone they're not. Here's the biggest lesson from today's video. Watching isn't the same as pursuing, silence isn't always rejection, and attention isn't always commitment. Female psychology is rarely about one simple signal. It's about understanding emotions beneath behavior. Sometimes she's curious, sometimes she's cautious, sometimes she's protecting herself, sometimes she's simply waiting for greater emotional certainty. The key isn't trying to decode every single action. The key is becoming someone whose consistency speaks louder than assumptions. Because confidence isn't about making someone text first. Confidence is knowing your value regardless of who presses send. And ironically, that's often the quality people notice the most. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe for more psychology-based insights that help you understand relationships without manipulation or guesswork. Now tell me in the comments, have you ever experienced someone who watched everything you posted but never texted first? What do you think was really happening? I'd love to hear your perspective. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.